All right, let's dive into this mountain of Canadian real estate stuff, shall we? Articles, blogs, financial reports, even a personal story from London, Ontario. Someone wants some clarity.
Sounds like it.
It does, doesn't it? One minute it's all doom and gloom, the next it's the best time to buy. So which is it? Crashing or booming?
Million-dollar question, right? Market's sending mixed signals, that's for sure. Easy to get swept up in the headlines.
Totally. But how can both be true?
Gotta understand the forces at work, you know? Home prices, they're through the roof. Interest rates, stubbornly high, borrowing's pricey. And wages, not keeping up.
Yeah.
That's a recipe for affordability issues, especially in a city like Toronto.
Toronto's bad.
Oh, you haven't heard. They're ranked 5th in the world for housing bubble risk.
5th. Okay, now that's just scary. How does that even happen?
It's complicated, but supply and demand's a biggie. Toronto, especially for detached homes, supply is limited, but people still want in. Prices go up faster than incomes, faster than inflation. That's bubble territory.
So if you're in Toronto, what do you watch out for? Aside from, your house floating away.
Asterisk, chuckles, asterisk. Keep an eye on those price-to-income, rent-to-income ratios. Those numbers drift apart, red flag. Also, speculative buying. People just flipping for profit. That inflates bubbles like crazy.
Knowledge is power, especially in this market. But some folks, they're priced OUT of Toronto already. Yet, some articles here say fall 24 is good for buyers.
Pockets of opportunity always exist for those prepared. Being strategic, knowing your budget, realistic expectations, that's key.
And maybe a real estate agent on speed dial. But what about those priced out of owning entirely? These affordability articles are grim.
Yeah, no easy way to say it. Owning a home, it's a dream fading for lots of Canadians, especially first-timers. Wages are stagnant, the wealth gap's widening, making things tougher.
Speaking of generational wealth,
Huh.
You included this story, a 102-year-old woman selling her London, Ontario home. After a century, markets changed a lot.
It really highlights those shifting dynamics we're talking about. Older generations downsizing, passing on wealth, that creates opportunities for some buyers, sure. But for younger folks trying to enter a market where prices have skyrocketed beyond what they can earn, it's a tough situation.
No easy answers, that's for sure. And it's not just homeowners feeling it. Renters too, right? National rent prices are at record highs. It's nuts.
You're right, renters aren't immune, as some provinces are tying rent increases to inflation.
Which, even a small percentage on already high rent, that's still rough.
Exactly. But it doesn't fix the root affordability problem. And we can't forget about rental quality. That article, the Windsor pilot study, pretty horrible conditions they found. Tenant rights, regular inspections, that's vital.
Safe housing shouldn't be a luxury. It should be a given.
Absolutely. And the rental market itself is changing. Purpose-built apartments, their rents outpacing condos in some spots. Interesting shift.
Why is that?
Several things, maybe. Purpose-built, they're often designed for the long haul. More amenities, better security than some condos. Location matters too. Access to transit, schools, all that.
Shows that, just like housing, the rental market adapts. New people, new lifestyles, new economy.
Yeah.
It all factors in. And behind all these numbers, trends. These are real people looking for homes.
Exactly. And sometimes it helps to remember that. Step back from the data, look at individual stories.
Like this article, right? $2.5 million ski resort for sale, Simcoe County. And right next to it, how much home you can buy for $500,000. Worlds apart.
Really drives home that wealth gap, doesn't it? The different realities within Canada's market. Luxury is one thing, but for most Canadians, even a normal place feels impossible.
And even if you scrape together that down payment, owning's not cheap. My last minor repair bill still haunts me.
Tell me about it. It's not just the mortgage. Property taxes, insurance, the upkeep adds up fast. Those hidden costs, they get you. Like that article about factoring in natural disaster risk.
Oh yeah, that newsletter was eye-opening. Flood zones, insurance needs, mitigation costs, whole other ballgame.
Right. Easy to overlook, especially for first-time buyers. But climate change is here, we see the impacts, and that's reflected in insurance and potential costs down the line. Imagine a flood mitigation assessment on top of your regular payments. Ouch.
No kidding. So how do people even wrap their heads around this? It's a lot.
Knowledge is key, like we said. Before you house hunt, do your homework. The area, its disaster history, what insurance entails. Good real estate agents a must.
Due diligence. But even before that, got to avoid those scams. That Lexington landlord article, the COVID relief fraud, infuriating.
Some people, unfortunately, they prey on others, especially in tough times. It's a reminder to be cautious.
So renters,
Yeah.
how do they protect themselves?
Research is your friend, always. Landlord, property manager, look them up. Reviews, tenant groups, ask for references, don't be shy.
Trust your gut. Something
Yeah.
feels off, walk away.
Exactly. A good landlord won't rush you, will let you review the lease, ideally with a lawyer.
Speaking of different paths, what about rent to own? You'd included a question about that, if it's viable now.
Interesting one, that market like this, people are looking at it more. Sounds good on paper, locks in a price, rent goes towards down payment.
Right. Appealing if you can't save a huge down payment outright. But, like you said, got to dig deeper. What are the downsides, the things people miss?
Biggest one. You're locking in a price in a volatile market. If values drop, you're stuck buying for more than it's worth.
So you're betting on prices going UP.
In essence, yeah, market stalls, drops,
Yep.
you're on the hook.
And those extra costs, do they apply here too?
Oh, absolutely. On top of rent, you've usually got an option fee.
Yeah.
Basically, paying for the right to buy later can be a lot, and often it's non-refundable.
So like a giant deposit you might not even get back, even if you don't buy.
That's one way to put it. And yes, some rent might go to your down payment.
Right.
How much varies wildly depending on the agreement.
Getting riskier by the minute here. Anything else to watch out for?
Yeah, it feels like there are a lot of things to keep track of with rent to own.
There are. And it's so important to understand every single thing in the contract. I mean, really understand it before you sign anything.
So what's the very first thing someone should do if they're thinking about this whole rent to own thing?
Before you even start looking at places, talk to a financial advisor.
Okay.
They can help you figure out where you stand financially, if rent to own even makes sense for you, and they might even know some other options you haven't thought of.
Because, like we've been saying this whole time, what works for one person might not work for another.
So talk to a financial advisor. Got it.
Then, once your finances are in order, find yourself a real estate lawyer.
Right.
And make sure they really know rent-to-own contracts.
Yeah.
They can help you understand all the legal stuff, all the fine print, and make sure you're protected.
Sounds like having the right people on your side is really important.
Absolutely.
Okay, so even if rent to own isn't the way to go, we've covered so much ground in this crazy Canadian real estate market. I mean, we've talked about whether it's even possible to afford anything these days, the differences between renting and owning, and even all those surprise costs that can really sneak up on you.
And we've only scratched the surface. We haven't even touched on the Bank of Canada and interest rates, foreign buyers, or how much psychology plays into all of this, like how fear and uncertainty can really drive the market.
It really makes you think, that's for sure. So for our listener who's probably drowning in real estate articles right now, what's the one thing they should take away from all of this?
Information is power, plain and simple. In a market as complicated and unpredictable as this one, knowledge is your best friend.
Absolutely.
Don't just believe everything you read in the headlines or hear from other people. Do your own research, figure out what the risks are, and never be afraid to ask questions.
Couldn't agree more. And on that note, I think it's time for us to take a break from the Canadian real estate roller coaster. Maybe grab a coffee, step away from the computer screen for a bit.
Sounds like a plan.
But before we go, I just want to say to everyone listening, whether you're renting, buying, selling, or just trying to wrap your head around it all, we're in this together. Happy house hunting, everyone.